What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the cast here at Celestia Radio. This is Matthias with Nat and Dalit. How my co-host doing?
Yeah, going alright. I was debated by my mother. Apparently, I was supposed to do stuff today, but she's like, nah, I'm gonna do other stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. So, what's the fucking point of getting me up early in the morning then? So, yeah.
I know that feel.
Hi, yeah, I'm also here, and my day's been grand. Just been playing Metaphor and chilling in the decent weather.
It has been good weather here too. It's been nice, and I've also been playing Metaphor. But we're not talking about Metaphor.
You guys want to
I'm
talk
going to be
about
honest
Metaphor
with you all.
instead?
I mean, me and
Not
Dalit.
TM.
I'll be honest with you, listeners. I did not expect this episode to happen. Did not think it was going to happen, at least anytime soon. But this is, as the title tells you, this is a Pokemon episode because there was a hack. That's what made us talk about it. Not news. Sorry. Hate to get your hopes up. There was no new Pokemon news. There was a hack at Game Freak.
Yep. And
True.
The details of the hack, funny if true, which is essentially what this entire episode is going to be. If true, it'll be kind of funny or kind of big. So yeah.
I mean, it they said the hack was the same amount of data as the Insomniac leak from, was that a year or 2 years ago?
Just
Hack.
the last big
Insomniac
leak
hack.
was the Insomniac leak, and this is supposed to be on par with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So hearing that, all right, because I saw this when this broke, right, and they're like, it was all over Twitter and everything.
Oh yeah.
Big Game Freak hack, tons of information out there. And so I woke up that morning and I'm like, what? Okay. And so I go to Twitter first thing. I'm like, all right, let me see what's going on Twitter, what's happening. And everything I see, like, initially was, this is all like discussions and document ideas and things like that from like Gen 4, like almost pre-Gen 4 is everything that was coming up for me. And then a little bit of information about the next anime,
Mm-hmm.
I think, and the next Pokemon Adventure game, so like Arceus, but very minimal information. So I was just like, oh, okay, well, nothing that I actually care about. So I just tuned it all out. But apparently there was a conversation to be had, as I am told, because there's a lot there. I guess I don't know.
Well,
Like I said, I didn't really dive into it too much. I did see one thing this morning or last night that I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. It was a scrapped idea for X and Y that popped up on my feed that I'm like, oh, that would be cool. But I guess we'll get to that maybe later. But
yeah.
Could be.
where do y'all want to start with this?
Well, I mean, I'd like to start off by saying that this was a hack, though I personally am, as of yet, unsure how it got in. I've seen at least one way that they say it happened, and that just doesn't seem real to me.
It's funny though.
Yeah, it's hilarious, but there's no way that happened.
Yeah.
The definitive takeaways from this is that it was 1 or more terabytes of information stolen. In that information are various bits of code, various source codes, plural, concept work, and information on projects and employees. So this is, no matter how funny some of this story will be, and some of it will be very funny, this is not great.
Yeah.
And
I did not know about the employee thing. That
Yeah,
sucks.
so obviously we are not going to talk about the personal information of the employees and anyone working on the game, but the actual content itself we are going to talk about.
yeah, and I mean, probably not in any great amount of detail. And frankly, the upside is there's nothing for us to tell you about said private information because I have not seen any of it. like so many people, the only stuff that I've been um, privy to is the weird folk stories. Everything else I found out after the fact, and by time I was even remotely interested in having a look, that had been scrubbed from the internet. So
Yeah. Yep.
just concept stuff and all the stuff that I'm sure everyone's seen already. But I did want to get out of the way that, like, this isn't a fun hack that is, like, no big thing for a game that's, like, 10 or 15 years old. No, there was plenty of recent stuff taken that is important
Hmm.
and does relate to the everyday lives of the people that work at the Pokemon Company and specifically Game Freak.
Yep.
Yeah, see, I didn't hear about any of that. That's low, and that's not cool. So,
Hey, man. Actually, no,
you
I'm
know,
not gonna say
thoughts
it.
and prayers out to those people, because I'm sure that is a very like nerve-wracking thing when personal information goes out like that,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
but as to the like Pokemon stuff here, yeah, all I saw was a lot of stuff like pre-Gen 4, like concept stuff and whatnot. Like the very first thing I saw opening up was that what I'm assuming is like the concept document for the like cosmology of Pokemon they put together
Yeah.
prior to Gen
Right,
4,
yeah.
which I looked at it and I'm like, okay, well, it's pretty much exactly like they described it in the games. Cool. And went on about my day. I was just like, why is this why are people like focusing on this? I'm like, this is all stuff they told us in game, more or less. There's like some scrap bits in there,
I
but
think that's the reason why people were so interested in it is because we got those scrapped information. Now we got. I don't want to say concrete because this is cut content from just the entire Pokemon universe. Like this is not canon. It's not. I don't want to say not official, but yeah, it's not canon. But the fact that we got more information about this cosmology is, I would probably assume, why a lot of people clung clung to it, because I sort of did for like a couple hours. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm done.
yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was an interesting
Rabbit hole.
yeah. I was gonna say thought experiment, but that wasn't the word I was looking for. But yeah, rabbit hole. Uh,
Let me tell you, listeners, I was in call with him when he was going down this rabbit hole. He was going down that rabbit hole hard, man.
hey man, it was fun. It was again, it was fun. Just I, but because I don't speak Japanese, it was kind of like like why these decisions for Pokemon and which way the fuck they are and all that. Um, but others seem to be like perfectly reasonable. So I don't know. Do we want to get into cosmology for this or not? Because I mean, it is what it is, really.
Oh, that's going to have to be you two. I didn't read that at all. I hate to say it. I
I,
do not give a shit about the Pokemon story
Yeah.
anymore. They've not put the time or effort in for a very long time. So
I mean, yeah, true.
yeah, I mean, I like I said when I like initially found like saw it, I was like, it's more or less stuff we all already knew. Like if you played the games, you've read the dialogue in the games. Like it's all things that are stated more or less. So there wasn't really anything new. So I don't really see a reason to talk about it too much, unless there's just something you really want to get out about it from your rabbit hole.
Um,
Feel free, but I don't see anything
Not
personally.
really. Other than just um. So just real quick, gods. You got your three not demigods, but like three like sub gods, so Paka, Dialga, Giratina, and then they all split off. I think what's really interesting is the pseudo legendaries being considered actual legendaries in this cut or scrapped idea. Um, I thought that was interesting, but you know, obviously they scrapped it, and now we just have pseudo legendaries, which is Both a canon and community terminology, isn't that correct, Matt?
Yeah, it was. It's so. Yeah, that's fair. That was kind of a cool bit. So there was a little bit of terminology that was you. It's majority just used in the fan base for like generally like three high level rare Pokemon in every game. Usually it's like the dragon representative Pokemon in that game, and then two others. Unless it's
Like Tyranitar, which is
which
Rock Dark.
which was it Gen 3 or Gen
Which one? Tyranitar, that's two.
No, that's I know where Tyranitar. I think it was Gen 3 where all three of them were dragons, I think.
Oh
Or well, two of
yes,
them were
yeah,
dragons and then it was in
Salamence.
Metagross
Yeah,
or but anyways, irrelevant. It's always just like, three bigger Pokemon that have the terms like pseudo legendary, semi
yeah.
legendaries, however you want to translate it.
But
And it's always been kind of a fan term, but it originated like back from the original games because Arcanine was that was what he was. He was the semi legendary Pokemon or whatever. That was like his title
mhm.
or whatever. And then it also applied to Gyarados, and though they didn't have the title, like they were the grouping and Dragonite. So Dragonite, Arcanine, and Gyarados were like the three big ones there.
That
I
would
believe it was.
consider legendaries in quotation
Yeah,
marks. Yeah,
the semi legendary, pseudo legendary thing, but it was like it was a name. It was like a description used for specifically Arcanine, but it never really saw any basis or anything. Um, and then it just kind of became a fan term for those like three big,
six
powerhouses or
hundred
final in
BST Pokemon, which is base stat total. So,
yeah, like just those really big boys that you see towards the end of
yeah,
the
so
game.
any
Um,
Pokemon over 600 BST is considered a pseudo legendary. Not pseudo legendary. What's the term again? I already forgot.
uh, Pseudo legendary, semi legendary, like it differs by translation.
Right.
Oh, I've never heard
Um,
semi-legendary. It's always been
No,
pseudo-legendary
what
for
was it?
me.
Was
So that's
called something
interesting.
else. I forgot.
There's another one that if I bet you if you go to the Arcanine's page on the wiki, it'll have it there as well. Um, because he's the big one that I always think of because it was literally his like this was the like
Oh,
dog Pokemon, this was the
oh,
fox
what was it?
Pokemon, Arcanine was the semi legendary Pokemon or something like that. But yeah, it was well, I mean, so it was cool to see that that was actually something they were originally intending to do something with,
Yeah,
but they scrapped the
yeah.
idea. So it
So
was like, okay,
yeah, so Metagross and Tyranitar were pretty much going to be like actually considered legendaries in this cut content, but they scrapped it. Now they're back to like it's not pseudo legendaries. It's called something else, and it's not mythical. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah,
they're like hyper rare in-game
yeah,
Pokemon.
yeah, yeah. So
So
I
I mean that was a cool thing to see there. I
I
said that they
yeah,
did have plans for it, even if they didn't follow through with it in lore or
which
anything.
is
But
really interesting because the chart itself was made in 2005. It referenced um, Arceus, Palkia Dialga, and Giratina, and the Three Lake Spirits, um, and Gen 4 didn't come out until 2006. So there were plans for it, but I think I'm going to assume it got really confusing really fucking quickly in the teams and development progress. They were just like, you know what, fuck it. I just who cares?
ultimately, I think that was what a lot of the lore things that came out of this. I think that's what their attitude was for a lot of it was like we just don't care, so scrap it, or it's just too complex, so scrap it.
Yeah.
So because like at the end of the day, they've never tried to really go too far out there in complexity with Pokemon story. I think like Black and White was their attempt at a very story focused game and had some levels of complexity to it, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it personally. Um, but that's about as like complex as the story in Pokemon has ever gotten, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
pretty much what I always hear is that black and white are the very peak of the series when you're looking for like a narrative experience.
X and Y tried a little bit. Like there was a couple tiny elements in X and Y that made me think, oh, they were trying, but they didn't like stick with it. They didn't go in
Yeah,
on it.
so that's the thing, right? So it's not like Pokemon at like Gen 5 all of a sudden has a story. No, Pokemon always has a story, but I would realistically say at least at the start of Gen 3 or 4 is when they start trying to like branch out to like have like some sort of like mythology or like a cosmology and something like that, especially Gen 4 because it's all about time and space and all that, right? Um,
They've always had lore there, but the problem is they've constantly just like back in the early days, it was a constant of updating, retconning, and
yeah,
changing it to fit the new
yeah, yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and until it just kind of became a. I will say it was around Gen 4 with Arceus and Palkia and Dialga, where they kind of did come up with a
Yeah, they
base
actually
that they
cemented
didn't.
something.
Yeah, they cemented it, and they haven't really wavered
No,
on that.
yeah.
Like, so I mean, there is that for them. Like, now they keep adding on to it, and they add on to it in ways that are like, I don't know that that makes sense. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. It's there.
Yeah, and
So
also trying to fucking make Pokemon into tools of war for 3,000 fucking years, the video game, which is Gen 6. Yeah, or 10,000
I mean,
years, or
that's
whatever
always
fuck it
been
was. Yeah.
that's always been like the anime covered that well before Gen 6 came
Yeah,
out.
but then, like, the games try to do it, it's like, but, like, nothing really happened. It's like, oh, Pokemon was used for tools of war. It's like, okay, there's, like, no
Pokemon
remnants of
Conquest
that.
established that, I think.
Pardon?
There was a not even just the anime, like there was a game that covered that.
Yeah, X and
Like a
Y.
side game.
That's what I'm referring to.
No, a side game. A
Oh, a
side
side
game
game?
before X and Y.
Conquest?
Yeah. Yeah, Conquest, I
Yeah,
think.
Final Fantasy Tactics Pokemon Edition.
So it's like that was nothing
Yeah.
new. They just wanted to put it into a main game. Um but I did see something that was really cool that was a scrapped idea from X and Y apparently. And since we're somewhat on X and Y, I'll go ahead and bring it up now.
Yep.
There was apparently this intent to which gen was it? Was it Gen 4 or it was Gen 4 that had the like underground system,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So it was something akin to the underground system from Gen 4. They were gonna do like player made gyms that you could
Oh my
like
god.
tackle and share online in a similar way to the underground system. Where you could go to players' gyms and you could challenge them like their design or whatever.
I
And if you
wish that
won,
went
you know,
through. Holy.
yeah, apparently if you like the idea was if you could beat your friend's gym, you could use your friends as trainers in your gym or
Oh,
whatever.
that's sick.
So it was just like that's such a cool idea because I remember when I was much younger playing Gen 4. Uh and me and my friends, we would sit there like 4 or 5 of us at a time, I think it was. We would sit there going into the
Hmm.
underground, like just basically doing games of tag, trying to
Yeah,
find each
trying to
other's
steal
bases,
the
capture the
flag. Yep,
flag.
yep.
Yeah.
Putting
And we
traps in
just sit
your
there and had a
room.
blast with it. Yeah, it was an absolute blast. It was one of the best things I think they ever did in a Pokemon game. It was so fun. So the idea to me, like that they were going to do something kind of akin to that to Gen 6, in Gen 6 rather. I was a fan of Gen 6. So for those that don't know, if I haven't explained it on the podcast before, like I was in this like I'm losing interest in Pokemon kind of stage when Gen 6 came out and it revitalized my love for Pokemon. And I absolutely adore Gen 6. Like it revitalized my love for Pokemon so much so that I say Gen 6 is my favorite gen. Just
Base.
because that's how much it made me re-enjoy playing Pokemon again.
Yeah.
Just for Gen 7 to completely ruin all of that and just kill
The
every bit of
fucking
interest I've ever
Sun and
had in it.
Moon with
Seriously.
its fucking just
And I've
baby's first
never like
fucking video game difficulty. Yeah.
I haven't played a Pokemon game since.
Yeah, I don't blame you,
So
bro.
it's day and night, pun not intended. On those two gens there, but just the thought that they had something that would have brought about just some semblance of, oh, this makes me think of the days when me and my friends would sit around and run through the underground together. Me and my friends can sit around and tackle each other's gyms or go, chase people's gyms online, find the fun, challenging gyms online to tackle or whatever. I was like, that's such a cool idea. And it was kind of kind of upsetting that it didn't stick because
That's a lot of fucking
like one of the
work,
things
though.
I know because like one of the things that I think was it was in the rumor mill leading into Gen 7. I think it was the rumor mill leading into Gen 7 was a thing that, Gen 7's not going to have your traditional gym system
Yeah.
because they're establishing the Pokemon League where Gen 7 takes place or whatever.
Right.
And it was like, oh, okay, so the Pokemon League hasn't been established here.
Which
We're
is a
setting it
nice,
up.
cool idea for a Pokemon game.
Which is a cool idea, right? It's like,
But
oh, so wait, does this mean like is the end game here we can be the gym leaders? Is that what gets to happen? So that was something that I remember being interested in going into it, and then Gen 7 was what it was, and I was just like, oh yeah, no, this don't like this.
Yep.
Um, it was a really cool idea I saw, and I was just like, man, it sucks that got scrapped.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
actually wonder how much of a burden it would have been, because it sounds like you could already do so much in those underground areas anyway. I imagine making NPCs with pre-established uh, Pokemon battle wouldn't have been that difficult.
I can't imagine it would have been too difficult. It may have been a little bit more. Let's say it this way, because this was before Pokemon finally moved to like a proper console with the Switch. Um, it because that was what Sword and Moon or Sword and Shield when they moved to the console with the Switch.
Correct.
Yeah, so this would have been just 2 generations before. I would say this was probably if they had done that, it potentially would have been pushing what the system could handle more or less, depending on the depth they went to here, like with the actual like building gym.
Yeah, so without, actually seeing the plans for it firsthand, it could be NPCs. It could be obviously it was going to be player v player, but like, are we going to have NPCs and are we even
Well, except that I don't
allowed?
think it was ever going to be like real time player v player. Clearly, it was just
It
going
didn't
to.
sound like it.
Yeah, it was just going to take a snapshot of whatever Pokemon you had.
Oh, okay. Well,
And the
then,
NPC was going to stand there and battle on behalf of you.
right.
So,
Yeah, you set up your team, and then it made an NPC copy of you to run the gym, and then you set up like little NPC trainers to fight along the way like you do in an actual gym, and then you kind of make your gym layout, and somebody can challenge it, right?
Right.
And
I'm gonna be
probably
honest,
just like
this sounds like what the Underground was actually designed for,
Yeah,
more than
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
what it
right.
was. But I mean, again, I wasn't into this particular gen. We clearly never got it, so clearly this was an idea that they were not confident in for one reason or another. And that is a shame because it seems like a pretty good idea. Pokemon is one of those RPGs that feels weird that it's not an MMO.
That's a very nice segue into that topic, Dolet. But before we get into that, I just have a question for you guys. With and very little knowledge between all three of us, with the Switch 2 and Gen 10 coming out, do you think they still don't have the confidence, or they don't don't have the confidence of making this NPC gym like uh, mechanic in mainline Pokemon games.
Confidence? I couldn't tell you. Maybe not. I mean, they didn't do it before, so maybe that's why. Maybe they just don't want to do it. I don't really know, so I couldn't say confidence level per se, but I can say for certain they have the tech to do it now for
Well, that's
sure.
what I was
Like
thinking as well. Yeah.
the regular Switch could do it. I don't see like why not.
Mhm.
So
I don't have a lot of nice things to say about the transition from previous handhelds to the Switch, but I will say that I don't think it comes down to a lack of confidence. Um, the Switch titles brought with them the whole aspect of having to remake every model to be 3D, right? Like, and to be
Yep.
a high quality 3D.
Yep.
Something that they clearly struggled with.
Hmm. I
And then
mean,
there's all the animations that we should have. Like, it strikes me that this is a concept that falls pretty low on the totem pole.
hmm
They are struggling enough with the core ideas of Pokemon not being presented in a way that gets people excited already. The idea of having to add to that MMO ideas, or at least just this NPC battling idea, despite the fact that that's literally Pokemon. That is the main
yeah,
Pokemon game is
yeah, yeah.
a series of dungeons that we just happen to call gyms. So yeah, it's something that they could do, and Matthew's right, especially with the base Switch. They finally had tech where it really shouldn't have been a problem to do the bare minimum.
Hmm.
I just don't know if the desire's there. I am, as anyone
That's the
can
word.
tell,
Desire, not fucking
yeah,
confidence.
desire.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't think they have the desire to do it. I'm pretty cynical when it comes to Game Freak as a developer and the Pokemon Company a as the boss that wants to get anything progressed. I think everyone is happy with the games as they are now, and
Hmm.
I think Sword, Shield, Violet, and
Scarlet.
Scarlet were big pains in the ass for Game Freak. And I just don't think they want to have to do more work. And I have no idea what the turnaround on these games are supposed to be. Um, I'd love to know when a game begins dev, like even as far back as concept to when
Hmm.
it comes out, because the games seem like they were built in like 2 years, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah. So,
Like a lot of Pokemon's strength in previous generation just came from the fact that they could steal so much work from the previous generation, from the generation that came before, and they
yeah.
really can't do that yet.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I mean, it's just like different all over, all around, because we all play 14. The 14 devs, especially Yoshi P is very open to us about when things are in development. Like, he's always on about like how the next expansion is already in development, mostly through concept and all that shit, right? Um, so when it comes to Pokemon, we have no fucking idea if halfway through development they're thinking of the next game, because that
Hmm.
could be the case. That couldn't that may not be the
I
case
feel
and all
like
that.
I feel like you could even say just that's an issue with uh like any Nintendo company. Like they don't
Correct.
Nintendo just holds everything so close to the
Oh yeah.
chest. And it's and but on top of holding everything so close to the chest, they're not very communicative with their fan base and player base.
God no.
Uh and it's becoming there's more, companies out there besides just, Creative 3 at Square with 14 like that have been, open and, talking to their player bases and other game spheres out there besides 14. 14 is the
Yeah.
one we're openly familiar with,
Yeah.
right? but there are others out there that are doing this same thing.
Tsuchimoto-san at
seeing
Capcom really got them to embrace that with his Monster Hunter roundtables that then spread into Street Fighter, that then spread into pretty much every new title that comes out at Capcom now has the developers out there openly talking about it. And whilst they might not do so as regularly as the Monster Hunter crew and the Street Fighter crew, because those are more or less live services, like this is an idea that has caught on. And to your point about Nintendo, you're absolutely right. But the reason for that is not, it's probably not what you think. Nintendo almost certainly still views themselves as a toy maker. Almost certainly. And it's very evident in the way that they present everything that they do. They do limited runs on products. There's no transparency because there doesn't need to be. We make product, you buy product, that is the transaction.
Yep.
And moreover, they're hugely successful. Pokemon, like the Pokemon Company, like if we take apart Nintendo for a moment, the Pokemon Company has the most bankable IP in the world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like they don't ever need to argue with the fans because the fans, they know for a fact the fans will support them under any circumstances because they're the most profitable IP in the world. And then Nintendo themselves,
it's one of those things like they're never gonna not succeed. So
Exactly.
they don't have
Yeah, exactly.
And Nintendo has like all of its first party IPs are only available on Nintendo products, so they don't need to sell themselves like they're a third party creator. They don't need to have like this transparency. The only way you're playing this is if you buy our stuff, and we have IPs that go back to your childhood, so you will.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
Yep. I mean, it's just kind of shame because I think, at least to me, I've been spoiled by Yoshi P with his openness of how things are progressing and all that, and it just makes me kind of wish that a lot more companies, a lot more. I don't want to say close-minded. More tight-lipped companies were a little bit loose with the lips in terms of telling us how things are going and all that. But obviously companies
I tell
don't
you
have
what.
to do that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And especially for Pokemon, I think if they had sat down and actually prepared everyone for the jump from, was it Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield?
Yes. Oh, Ultra Sun.
It was,
to Moon,
yes.
Ultra Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they had sat down and just were a little bit more open about what it's going to mean jumping from this previous architecture to this new one, I think a lot of the issues with I almost said Sun and Moon, with Sword and Shield would have been glossed over. Now there were a lot of issues that wouldn't have been, but the more that the base understands the struggle that the developers have, the more they can temper their expectations for what is coming.
Yeah.
And if you don't tell us anything, presumably Pokemon fans are just going to say, well, I expect everything in the last game with a new gimmick.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty sure
that's
is
not
already
always a
the
good
current
thing.
mindset right now.
It's not always a good thing, you say?
Well, I shouldn't say it's not always a good thing, but what is clearly not always correct.
Right.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can tell you this much. Mega Evolutions, while being something the player base was skeptical about at first, everybody took to it like candy. And I don't know many people that didn't like Mega Evolutions by the end of that generation. And then they just proceeded to stop using them.
Now
like I said, new gimmick every generation.
Yep.
And the gimmicks after that just got worse.
It's to my understanding, Megas are the most popular with all aspects of the fan base. I'm sure there are other gimmicks that are more popular with like just the casual fan base, and maybe there's a gimmick that's more popular with a hardcore fan base, but like Megas are just like the best received gimmick that has been, to the point that people keep asking for them. And
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, and it's funny because in the most recent Pokemon game to be, I forget the name of I think it's I don't remember. Yeah, ZA. They're going back to the region with Megas. So it'll be interesting to see everyone finally get their hands on Megas again and see if Pokemon, the company, and Game Freak, the developers, are really unwilling to continue that out of the region. I'm just curious. I'd be interested to see how this ends up.
I would also be very
Well, they
fucking
did
curious.
do it out of the region, if you think about it, because Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire had them.
Yeah, that was Gen. Yeah.
Is that not the same region?
No.
Nope, that's the same region from Gen 3. So
Wait-
the Gen 3 region had
So
Megas
okay,
too.
so
I thought
Pokemon
Megas
X and
were a
Y,
Gen 3 thing.
No, Megas came out in Gen 6 with X and
Yes.
Y.
And then
Okay.
with Gen 6 is also Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
They did the remakes for Ruby
No,
and
but that's the same
Sapphire.
generation.
Yes.
Like I understand. So this
Yeah,
is my
yeah.
this is my understanding. I know that
You said region.
Sorry,
You
you're
meant
right.
generation,
I meant
though.
generation. You're
Oh, okay.
absolutely
Okay.
right. I meant generation.
Yeah, Gen
Yes.
6 is the Mega Evolution generation.
Yeah,
Technically,
talking
I
about
think
Pokemon can be
Gen
difficult
s-
for me. I don't play them.
It's fine,
Yeah.
don't worry.
Technically, I think Gen 7 had it in a small form because the stupid Z move things, I think, did cause things to Mega Evolve. I'm not sure. Like I said, I stopped playing it then. I don't know how it
No one
works.
I don't
fucking cares
But I
about
just knew
Z
the Z
moves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just knew the Z moves were dumb.
that seems to be the overall thoughts.
So like I said, after Gen 6, like Gen 6 revitalized my love for Pokemon, and then they immediately killed it in Gen 7.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh man, I'm losing interest as I'm getting older, I'm losing interest. I want to like Pokemon again. Gen 6 comes out. Oh my goodness.
So-
this is everything I love. This is so cool. This is great. I love Pokemon again. I'm talking with my friends about Pokemon. I'm playing Pokemon. This is great. I'm like, oh, played it for the entire life cycle. I'm like, oh, Gen 7's come out. I'm excited. Can't wait to see what they do. Nope, dead. Kill it. Stabbed it. It's dead. Buried. They unburied it, stabbed it again, and then reburied it. Like, it
just real quick back to Megas. I think they are gonna do Mega Evolution in Pokemon Legends Zygarde. Simply because in one of the leaks, and this is definitely spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, you might want to skip this like a couple seconds or a couple minutes ahead. But Mega Zygarde's files and possibly coding was part of the leak as well.
Correct.
But that might just be that one Pokemon because he is essentially going to be the boss of the game.
Also correct.
Yeah, so that's it's a little bit iffy, but I think it's confirmed at least one Pokemon's going to have a Mega Evolution.
interesting that it's Zygarde, considering that. To be fair, Zygarde was the one Pokemon from that gen that saw life outside of its gen that I don't think many people expected.
Yeah, so Zygarde is weird because he's just a bunch of fucking cells and he constantly evolves.
So, like, the lore for Zygarde is he's the planet's, like, immune system,
Yes,
right? And that's why he can break up into the smaller forms, and then however many cells come together make bigger
Yes.
forms, and then Zygarde himself is all of the cells together more.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's a really cool, like, Pokemon idea. Like, I really liked Zygarde. I thought he was dope.
It's a
it's
the
the
legendary
lore,
Pokemon
everything
that
about
can
him was
technically evolve.
yeah, like I just like lore, everything about him was like that's kind of dope.
Mhm.
So it's just, but he was also one that I knew, especially like design wise, like his design wasn't super popular. I don't think
it really was
I could be
until
wrong.
we got until like the fucking War Greymon lookalike fucking form that Zygarde has.
Oh, yeah. But like, cause like I remember like compared to Yveltal and Xerneas, like he didn't stand out as
Yeah.
much. Because it was XYZ,
Mhm.
right? Also, one of the gens that never got
Yeah,
a
I don't know why the fuck they didn't get a third one.
a polished version or a third
Yeah.
version, or
I
it
mean,
was
same
before they
with
started
Gen
doing
5 as
DLC,
well.
which is
They didn't
what
get a third game. They got a sequel, which is cool, but they didn't get a third game.
the sequel technically fills that role, right? Because it
Uh,
is a polished, upgraded
I
it's
version.
certainly
supposed to be
think that was
year
the
2 in the
mindset
future,
there.
so I
Yeah.
don't really count it, but the fact that it got a sequel,
But
yeah.
it and then like they skipped it with 6. We didn't get a Z. They didn't
Which
get
sucks.
DLC. They didn't get like a special version,
Yeah.
whatever. Then you went to 7, where Sun and Moon got Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Then it was Sword and Shield, and that's when they started doing the
DLCs and shit, yeah.
the DLC that served as what the third version usually had added onto it was added as DLC, and that carried on into Scarlet and Violet. So yeah, the fact that Z is finally coming up now as an adventures game with the mega version of Xerneas being in the like leak is interesting, because it's not like, even though megas were the thing in X and Y, like that was their like, our new thing or
Our
claim
gimmick,
to
yeah.
fame kind of thing. Yeah, it would the legendaries aren't the ones that had the megas. It was the other Pokemon.
Yeah.
So just the fact that that this particular Pokemon is potentially getting a mega when its two counterparts have no mega currently, and he also has several forms in and of itself.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool in my opinion. I think
it's just strange to me that, like, where did this sudden love for Zegard come from in
I have no idea.
Where did they suddenly decide this is our favorite? We're gonna give you
I genuinely have no idea, but I will say this, and you have heard me say it, Matt, but the Pokemon X, Y, and Z, specifically X, Y, Z, Pokemon anime actually went so fucking hard. It was so fucking good. But like, I don't think that has anything to do with the new love for Zygarde.
I mean, I have heard outside of, you are the first place I heard that, yes. I have heard outside of you now that it was XYZ was when the anime went from several really bad seasons after, where it went downhill to being really good suddenly again, and then it went back downhill.
Yeah.
Though Ash's story did end on a high, because I did go and watch the final episodes of Pokemon, just because I was like, I haven't watched the Pokemon anime in years. I haven't watched like so many seasons, but it's over. So I went and watched the last, essentially the last, like, I think it was like last 5 episodes. Yeah. And they did give Ash a good ending. So it was like, oh, that's a good ending. I like that. Really weird, that they like retconned and changed stuff like halfway through the anime.
Ugh.
But we don't talk about that.
Regardless,
unless we're making memes, because let me tell you, everybody loves to meme it.
But yeah, I don't know where this new love for Zygarde is. But I'm kind of happy, because I personally think, even though, while Mewtwo is obviously the more popular one, and that's the reason why he's got 2 evolutions, mega evolutions. I personally feel like Zygarde should be like the only legendary to have a mega evolution, because of the way he just works. So yeah, the fact he's getting one is cool.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah. I just, if they're gonna keep doing mega evolutions, can we finish getting the rest of the starters mega evolutions, please?
Yeah, I agree.
I just kind of want that. That's kind of nice.
Holy shit!
just a thought. Yeah, I don't know. It's so, I mean, like, there was let's see, that was the Legends leak with the Zygarde stuff, with the Z.
A bunch of concept art for Gen 3 to 5, 3 to 5, 3 to 6,
something like that. Yeah, a lot of concept art, which I feel like, okay, like, I don't know, concept art for Pokemon doesn't necessarily do much for me, because I don't know. It doesn't. But like that being said, I do like seeing a lot of fan created Pokemon. So maybe I'm talking maybe I'm sitting in a double standard there. I don't know.
Possibly. I don't know. I just feel like it's just one of those like they can like sort of come back to it if they kind of like it for like the newer generations. Um, like I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like you design creatures and then you hand it to your boss and he goes or she goes yes yes no no yes no 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 yes yes no. It's just like okay. It's just one of those things, you know.
There was also something to do with the anime and the leaks, but
Oh yeah, you're.
I
Wait, is it anime
like I said,
anime or
I
is it an
stopped watching
anime
the
movie? Oh,
anime.
okay.
I didn't see anything about the
Um,
anime or a movie.
it's supposed to
So
be for the next season, whatever that is.
Right.
Um, yeah, and like I said, I stopped watching the anime ages ago. I only went back just to watch the conclusion to Ash's story, and I didn't even watch what led up to that. I just literally watched the conclusion.
Yeah.
So,
Any thoughts, Dolit?
yeah, Dalit, you want to throw anything in?
not particularly. This is mostly an area for you too. I didn't keep up with that particular generation or any of the anime. So,
Mm.
and I barely know Zygarde. Like I do know that it is a mass of cells that can put itself together into different formations, but that's about it. Didn't even really know it was a true legendary. Thought it was maybe a pseudo.
He's kind of presented kind of like
He's a
Giratina
true
back
legendary.
in Diamond and Pearl because Diamond and Pearl Giratina was not part of any of the plot points whatsoever. He's a post game Pokemon, but in Platinum, that's when he became the focus of the story. Same thing with Zygarde, X and Y. He just no plot point with him whatsoever. So we were expecting a Pokemon Z, but we didn't get it, so that was a letdown for a lot of us. Um, so now that these
As an X and Y fanboy, let me tell
yeah
you, I was really
yeah
upset
so
too.
again the fact that these leaks confirmed in quotation marks a Mega Zygarde for the new Legends game is pretty cool for me in my opinion. So yeah.
I'm not gonna play it because I've just stopped playing Pokemon at this
Mhm.
point. Um, because I haven't played Arceus, I haven't played uh Sword and Shield, I haven't played Scarlet, Violet. Like I haven't played Pokemon since Sun and Moon
Yeah,
killed
yeah,
them
yeah.
for me. And like even if they do something interesting, I doubt like I'd actually ever go back and play it because in the back of my head, I wouldn't just because of how my brain works. And you guys know I'm weird. The way I
Yeah,
think
you are
and
fucking
handle things
weird.
sometimes are just really OCD, really weird, doesn't make sense, but it's how I am. And I'm sure our listeners have picked up on that by this point as well. I wouldn't be able to skip all those generations I didn't
Oh my
play
god,
to play a new
Matt. Oh
generation.
my god,
I would
Matt.
That is
have to
so
play
weird,
them.
though. It's like Final
I
Fantasy.
would
They're not connected, man.
Exactly.
I realize that, but it's just because I grew up playing them all in order, I just would feel weird suddenly skipping so many. So I would have to make myself play through Sun and Moon and then Sword and Shield and then Scarlet and Violet
Well, I didn't
before
have
I
that
would
issue.
ever touch.
I played
Yeah.
Gen
I mean,
1,
like I
I
said, I have
played
weird
Gen 2,
idiosyncrasies.
I played like half of Gen 3, I touched Gen 4, and then I was gone until Sun and Moon. I have the kindest opinion of Sun and Moon in this call, I guarantee you that, because I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's that bad, though. Um, and then I have also played Gen, I guess it's Gen 8 and Gen 9, and I'm supposedly the cynic when it comes to Pokemon in this call, but I do play them, kind of. Mostly just to play with friends. Though honestly, going forward, mostly just to play because Tinkaton exists, and that Pokemon is my favorite.
Fucking Tinkerton.
Like,
I do love looking at the new designs and stuff.
yeah, I love
but,
Vulpix to death. I always will. Vulpix is and forever will be like best mon, but Tinkerton is making a compelling argument of little pink creature with big old hammer. This appeals to me.
That's
She's
fair.
actually
That's
good,
fair.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's me. I also can say, if you couldn't tell there, like I lost the train of thought and I just regained it back. That's that entire like stuttering for a few minutes. So you can tell when that happens now. I have learned, because I did at one point, because Scarlet and Violet had my interest. Or no, maybe it was just Sword and Shield. It was one of the two of them. It caught my attention enough that I was like, I kind of want to try it. So I went to sit down and play Sun and Moon. Because that was the one I hadn't played, like the newest one I hadn't played. Or the oldest one I hadn't played, I guess.
Wait, I thought Sun and Moon was the one that killed it for you.
It was, so like I never finished it, is what I mean.
But LaBrain.
Got it.
But LaBrain, I need to play all
finished,
the games.
not played. Wrong word. Finished. So I went to like, all right, I'll sit down. Like, I know, and I had a good mindset with it, right? I was like, I know the things in this game I don't like, but I'm just playing through it to get through it and, move on and never have to touch it again. And I'll be fine. I'll be done. It's good. When I went back to do that, I realized the grind for Pokemon, that loop, like the old one at least, it's a little different now, I guess, maybe because of some of the new things added in Scarlet and Violet. But that old loop, I'm tired of it. I couldn't do it. I was like, I don't want to sit here and just level my Pokemon.
And that I will grant you 100%. I don't think that has ever changed. I know there have been little changes like experience share just being a default idea now and all that. I think that's always been a real shit concept in Pokemon. I don't think they've ever made it compelling. Which is weird because, again, Pokemon is literally just an RPG. And as me and Matt can attest, we have no problems grinding in RPGs. We're currently doing it right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Dalit, what about those pictures I sent you just before cast of my playthrough?
But for whatever reason, like that is something I will agree with you. I have never been a big gotta catch them all guy, which is probably why I was so sympathetic to Game Freak when they had to substantially limit the amount of Pokemon that made the jump from the old gen to the Switch gen. Like, I know that was a major point of controversy, and I'm like, it's fine. I'm never going to catch them all anyway.
Yeah,
I don't got that kind of time or work ethic.
Yeah.
I just want to get my favorites. I want to level my favorites. I want to give my Eevee and Eviolite. Not Eevee. I want to get my Vulpix and Eviolite, and then get a second Vulpix and get a Ninetales, and I'm done.
Yeah, imagine your fucking Game Freak boss comes in. He's like, "All right, time to remake fucking over 1,000 Pokemon for Gen 9."
I never thought it was a reasonable ask, and I was always really confused why people thought they were going to get that. Now that said, I don't think the upgrade was so meaningful. Wow, I don't think the upgrade was so meaningful that they couldn't have done either better models or more Mons. But no, I think it's absolutely unreasonable to think that going from a handheld 3DS to a almost console Switch was ever going to have more than like 300 Mons. I don't remember how much they even brought over, if I'm honest.
I want to say it's close to 300, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I never thought it was reasonable to expect more than that. And of course now they did get to rebuild. They're never going to have a game with a whole new set of just new Mons anyway. So this gives them an opportunity to, trickle in the old critters at their leisure.
Yeah, it seems to
Yeah,
be.
they can build up to it now. So it
It
makes sense.
seems to be 150 new because you do need new Pokemon with every new generation, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, so between 150, 150 to 200 new Pokemon, and then 50 to 100 old Pokemon in, and then
I feel like you need to dial
No,
that
no,
back to
no.
100
Yeah.
new Pokemon at the
oh,
lowest. Yeah.
You've gotten very
what I am
excited.
trying to get out is new gen, majorly new Pokemon, and then through DLC you either add new or old Pokemon in. But obviously they're not going to add in national decks from base game right from the get-go what you beat the game sort of thing.
But
Like
honestly,
that's
even
dead.
going off of what you're saying now, I think Game Freak has done themselves a disservice. I think asking for 100 new Pokemon design with almost 1,000 previous designs existing is a big ass.
I mean, very much so. Like don't get me wrong.
I don't know why anyone wants like 100 new designs when there's 1,000 Pokemon. I think it would be fine to have like 50 new Pokemon, maybe even less than that, and just bring in a lot of the old ones. Because at this point, they've got to be running out of ways to make a bird, a dog, and a lizard,
And a mouse. Don't forget a
and
mouse.
and a mouse. And like every year, you hear people, you actually literally hear them roll their eyes.
Well,
And say, well, these designs suck. It's like, yeah, of course they do. All their good designs they've already done.
I have an answer for
We're
that.
10 gens in at this point.
I have an answer for that, Dolan, and I'm going to use your answer because
Ruh-roh.
Nintendo thinks they're a fucking toy company, so new mods means new fucking merchandise and all that shit.
Except, I don't think that's true because
Oh, it's
both
absolutely
Nintendo
true,
and the
especially
Pokemon
with
Company.
starters.
No,
At least the starters.
okay, I'll give you the starters. I will give you the starters. But
and maybe
all,
the new Eevee evolution, but generally, yeah.
when was the last time you got a new Eevee
Sylveon
evolution?
was the last time we got a new Eevee
Yes,
evolution.
but if
Like,
they
and
did
even
release
that
a
was
new
a stretch.
Eevee evolution, they will absolutely 100% try to fucking sell
Sure,
that.
but even that goes to like the idea that I'm about to make, which is the new Pokemon aren't sure bets. That's not where the Pokemon Company is placing their money. Their money goes into their trieds and true. There's a reason why everyone is sick and tired of Charizard. It's because they know.
I'm not.
Sorry, the Pokemon Company knows. Dude, a lot of people are fucking salty about Charizard getting doted on. I don't get it. I do think they should give Venusaur and Blastoise some love, but I'm never gonna get tired of seeing the actual fucking dragon show up.
Yeah.
But Pokemon and Nintendo know that these are their breadwinners: Charizard, Mewtwo, Pikachu, and Eevee.
Yeah.
More than any new Pokemon, these are their tried and true veterans. And it's the reason why there's a love for Gen 1. It's because that is what sells. Your new Pokemon they're not tried yet. You have no idea if they'll be successful ones. So you can make a bunch of new stuff, but do you really think that if the Pokemon Company and Game Freak were confident that people would buy it, they wouldn't just make a Pokemon game full of old Pokemon? That'd be so much easier. They don't want to make new ones. That's labor intensive.
They should make one with all the old ones, like just to get the models in there. If anything.
Don't say that, man. Pokemon fans will come out and lynch you. I have had this opinion, and I've been told that I am fucking wrong. So
let them come and do it then. I dare them.
Actually, no, Matt does have kind of a point. If we do have,
but if I can say anything about new, can we finally get some more like Eevee evolutions? Like,
where's Orion?
Goodness gracious.
Where's just my normal ass Eevee?
The only
just
reason,
bigger and fluffier.
The only reason we got Sylveon is because fairies were new and they were trying to sell fairy types.
Jesus
so they gave the fan favorite it's fairy types.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, fuck you.
Oh, I love fairy types. I love them. And Sylveon.
Fuck off.
My entire
fairy types
team
fucking
is made
suck.
up of like
You're lucky I have to fucking censor
Sylveon
myself is fucking cast because goddamn I would have had some choice words with you guys. Fuck fairy types.
Sylveon is my
From
favorite
Dragon
Eevee
Lover
evolution. I love Sylveon. And you know the best part about fairy types is that they're strong against dragons. So even though it's not, it is in no way related. In my head, in my head, it's like the fairy beats the dragon because fairy tale. Natsu's a dragon slayer.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Okay.
That was the first thing my brain did when I saw that they were strong against fairies. And I'm like, I know that is in no way connected, but my brain made that connection, and I'm just like, that's
I'm shaking my head.
that's
over here.
coincidental. It's so coincidental, but it's so funny to me.
Shaking my fucking head.
But that's the only reason we got a new Eevee evolution. Like, was because
That
they
is
were
true,
trying to
though.
sell
Yeah.
the fairy types. There are so many types that we still don't have.
It's true. I still don't know why they
for.
still haven't fucking added more.
Give them to us. I want the ghost one so bad because it could be so cool.
It's just a dead Eevee.
Oi.
What? That's what.
You're probably right, though. That's gonna be the lore.
What? That's what. Fucking. The primate one was in.
He just got
Scarlet
so
Violet.
angry it died.
It died. Like fucking came back. It's even angrier now.
Pokemon lore.
Every time they do lore for Primeape, it's great.
Fuck yeah.
Every time they do lore for Primeape, it's great. It's just anger.
Every time I play a Pokemon game, I make the mistake of going in and like reading the dex entries for like 40 or 50 of them, and I just go, "What the fuck? Why do you? Why is the game that the Pokedex entry guy is playing is so different than the game I'm playing? What is happening here?"
If we ever got a lore accurate Pokemon game, it would be the darkest
world
game
is
in existence.
That world is so fucked. Oh my god! Can you imagine?
So dark.
Yeah, you just see a bunch of Drifloons just carrying children off.
Exactly.
Yep.
The ghost
bye-bye.
Pokemon just
hold on.
absconding with children into the woods where you never see them
Yeah,
again.
there'll be no fucking children. In the
This is
world.
in no way permission for Nat to go into a rant about this particular bit.
What?
But just some of the lore bits that came out in this leak.
Oh, the lake, yeah. No, I think it's worth it at least mentioning. That's
Look,
fair. And Nat knows them the best because he's the only one who took the time to pay them any mind.
It is a it's not satirical, but like it's like trying to replicate or not imitate the Japanese yokai folklore stories, right? That's what those stories are trying to be.
It doesn't even need to be Japanese. Like,
Well,
all
the reason why I say
folklore stories are this
Japanese
kind
is
of
because
fucked up.
yokai's Japanese, and specifically that's what I'm trying to get out. It's trying to do monster fairy tale storytelling, right? So whether or not it actually happened is one thing, but what was written in those stories is, yeah, it's something.
Yeah, those stories.
Oh boy.
Those stories are wild. I literally only know the Cliff Notes, and I genuinely wish I didn't know the Cliff Notes.
Well, I really wanted to tell you them, but you said no, and I'm like, okay, I'll respect your
No,
wishes.
no, thank you, and I do not wish to. No. You must have misheard me, and I wish I didn't know the Cliff Notes.
Oh, well, still.
I mean,
really
I still always come back to the fact that they have hamburgers in Pokemon World. The only cows in Pokemon World are milk
That
duds.
Tauros, mate.
Oh, yeah, and Taurus, yeah.
Or Taurus, yeah. Taurus are milk tank.
Taurus.
So,
What's the bison Pokemon? The one that I thought was a Tauros evolution.
I think
but
it's just
isn't.
called.
Buffalint.
I think it's just called Bison
No,
or
it's
something.
like Buffalint, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Which
The
there's
real
a
question is,
giraffe
why
Pokemon
isn't
just
that-
called Giraffe.
No, Girafarig and Farigiraf.
Oh, that's terrific. Okay, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, no, that one's a fun name because it's a shit. What's the word where it's the same back and forth?
Oh no, it's the toucan. They released a toucan Pokemon, not a toucan, a flamingo Pokemon that's just a flamingo.
You're right.
That's what it's called.
It's just a flamingo. I don't think it's
It's Flamigo.
Flamigo. That's
It's
what it is.
Flamigo. They took
yeah, because
the
Amigo,
in out.
Yeah, Flamigo.
It's just a flamingo with its neck in a knot. That's it. I'm not even saying it's lazy because birds
It's
are all
dumb.
bastards. I'm so sorry for anyone who keeps or likes birds. They're all horrific bastards.
We're talking about you,
Right.
Shell, because you identify as a bird.
Fine,
Oh,
mate.
well, Shell is a
Saying
horrific bastard. He's just a horrific bastard that I enjoy chatting with.
We love you, Shell. I just couldn't resist that joke.
But yeah, no, that one just being an angry flamingo is like, yeah, I mean, in a world full of angry insert anime creature, an angry flamingo about fits, but it is weird that it's just a flamingo.
Mm-hmm.
They literally just took the N out of the word flamingo, and that's what they named
Yeah.
it.
And they didn't really add anything to the design. Again, its neck isn't a knob. That is weird, I will grant you, but that's it. Even Pikachu, for being a mouse, is at least yellow.
Sorry, I knew what I was thinking of, and I couldn't get it out, and but it finally clicked which one I was thinking of. Like they just took one letter out of its name.
Yep.
Palindrome.
And I just thought that was hilarious.
Palindrome was the word I was looking for. It's palindrome.
I really derailed that because I got really focused on Flamingo. What do you remember what you were saying, Nolan?
No, it doesn't matter. Like, no, actually, I genuinely don't. Now we have to somehow segue.
Okay, it's fine. I can do that. So yeah, it was a Pokemon game or anime or whatever set in a lore accurate Pokemon world would be the darkest in existence. Yep. And I'm not sure that I'm not here for it. That would be wild.
Like this,
I think that's one of the. I think that's another reason that because it was obviously going to come up in this episode. That I think Pal World kind of took off because it took a more serious, darker point where some of those really violent or strange like lore things that are there in those pals. That's why you kill them. That's why you got guns.
Wait, help me out. The best example I have is, what's the not Salazzle?
Oh, the
Lavander.
Yeah,
that's right.
Lavander.
So Lavander's the best example because if you read its entry, you go, "Oh, that's weird," and then you run it into the world. It's just running at you, hands up, and you're like, "Oh no,
grabby."
Lavander's the one I was thinking of. But I'm just like, I'm sure there's others. I didn't.
The problem is every other pal I think of is like nice to have around. I think of like the not Lucario, which is like, yeah, I want one of those. That thing's excellent. It's a great worker.
That guy is. I love that. To me, the peak design in Power World.
It's just Lucario. It's just
not Lucario, but Egyptian. Yeah, I was just like, yeah.
And like the only
I could have been sold
really
on that being.
Is like not Lucario, Lavander, and the big turtle, like, because that's my guy. Oh, he mines all my stuff so good.
He does. I could have, like, if somebody had showed me the Anubis design for whatever his name is, I would like if you just showed me that in a vac he is just called Anubis, isn't he? Yeah, if you just showed me his design like in a vacuum without knowing about Pal World, I would have just been like, "Oh, it's a regional variant for Lucario."
100%.
Oh, which again is why so many people were like, "How did Pal World get away with these designs?" But I mean, if you look at some of the original Pokemon designs compared to some old Dragon Quest,
that's the one that floats around for sure.
You see that designs are, as long as it's not a 1-for-1, you can get away with a lot there.
Oh yeah.
But there is one thing in the leaks that Nat briefly mentioned earlier. There was something about a Pokemon MMO in the leaks, wasn't there?
No.
Are they finally about to have a great idea?
No, there was no.
No, I thought there was something about them like considering it at one point, and they decided not to.
Oh fuck. Oh, what was it? The leaker specifically said it was not a MMO for Pokemon, but it was. Shit, what was it? Oh god, this was like a couple of days ago. But I think it begs the question is as to what Matt asked, why hasn't Pokemon / Game Freak made a fucking MMO of Pokemon yet?
Yeah, it would be great. Like, it doesn't need to be WoW or 14. Just make a Pokemon game that is always online, has constant events, and that you can add to over the course of, I don't know, 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, something like
And
that.
I mean, like
obviously,
think
the
about
reason
those
for this is
old
because they would
browser.
make less money overall, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm not even sure if that's true if you make it a sub. I
Well,
don't know.
see,
It's
so
true.
earlier today, before starting the recording, I wanted to be somewhat sure of the player base of the unofficial Pokey MMO game that people still play.
Wait, whoa, whoa,
Surprisingly,
whoa. There's an unofficial one?
yeah. So it's called Pokey MMO, and it's just
Oh,
free to
that's just
play.
the name. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Um, so pretty much the daily player count is between 3 to 6K players, and then the people like still playing it like via weekly, monthly is it's between like 25K to 50K players. So there are people that do want a Pokemon MMO, which is obviously Game Freak is not providing it,
I
or
mean, look at the
or
old
Pokemon Company.
browser-based games where you could just kind of go to a zone and just move around the zone and catch Pokemon or whatever. I can't remember what it's like called,
Is it not
but
Pokey MMO,
that's
or
all.
are you thinking of another one? Because the one that I'm
I'm thinking of a different one.
maybe.
I'm thinking of a different one, but it's. I mean, I'm sure somebody knows what I'm talking about out there. But it's literally just like you go to a zone, you can kind of just move your, and then it's using like the old 2D sprites
Yes,
from
I
like
know
Ruby and
exactly what you're
Sapphire.
talking about, Matt. I just forgot what the fuck
You
it's
just
called.
move around the
Yeah,
zone, yeah, and then it has like attribute zones. You can find Pokemon, you catch them. You can find shiny variants. You can find the like dark variants. You can
yeah.
find all this random
People will
stuff, and then
literally
you can
create
go.
their own like rooms, set like a couple Pokemon there, and you just farm them for like shinies and all that shit. It was so that like that's how I got my like shiny Glaceon so fucking quickly.
And it's like it's so simple, it's so basic, but it was also you could it had its own like it had its like an NPC gym thing you could do as
Hmm.
well.
You could fight
And
other
then
players. Yeah, it was fucking
there was a way to get legendaries, and
yeah.
then you can just play against other
It was so
players. And
fucking
it's just
good.
all the Pokemon are there. Whenever they added more Pokemon, they updated it where you could find them in the zones too. And it's just and you can like like other players like they don't move, but it just shows like a few other players on the map when you like load
Yeah,
into it. So it's like people still play that.
yeah.
It's like 2D. It's not even like a proper
Yeah, people still
MMO. Like
play multiplayer
there's a
Pokemon. It's
want
just
for it.
again, Game Freak slash Pokemon Company is just not providing it to its player base
Which
officially.
is
Like
strange.
so many of the fans and player base of Pokemon just play that game as a multiplayer game and want more multiplayer to it. They
Yeah,
want that MMO.
Well,
It's a want.
okay, if we're using that as their base, then you have to remember, I don't know if this is the best selling Pokemon game. I assume it is, but Scarlet and Violet did very well purely because they said, this is the Pokemon game you can play with your friends.
yes,
So the idea of an MMO might be off the table because they don't feel they need to. They can just chuck some multiplayer into your basic Pokemon game, which admittedly, fair, and you and three others can go around doing Pokemon stuff. And it
which
means that they
is
don't have to write a big new narrative every so many months. It means that they don't have to add extra events other than whatever the gimmick of that game
the
is.
the DLC and all that shit. Yeah,
Right. It
I mean,
keeps this. The
it is
downside,
what like more in what fans have been wanting for sure. So
yeah, I think the idea of like the MMO dressing for a Pokemon would be fine. I think finally consolidating all of these great ideas into like a singular world and having a more like over the top adventure and like having these things go on would be pretty cool. And it doesn't need to be so complex. Like I said, I don't expect like 4-person dungeons. So you go in and you're having like a 4v4 with random baddies in a cave. But like I think having the setup to the traditional MMO would allow a lot of people who enjoy this IP just kind of get together in a social space and do stuff. And I know that these are all big buzzwords, but I think that unlike a lot of communities, I think the Pokemon community would thrive in that. It's like Pokemon, Sonic, and Digimon are the big actual social communities that I think of in terms of like gaming. I think everything else, yeah, it has social aspects, but it's always toxic as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why, even though a lot of people didn't like the actual like gameplay of Scarlet and Violet, but like the ideas that were introduced into Scarlet and Violet, as you said, 4-player co-op, being able to see your oh god, what is it called? Oh god, why am I your oh shit, what is it? EVs, not the Pokemon, but like your effort values, being able to see that in your stats and just a bunch of other like quality of life stuff is good, but we're waiting for Pokemon or Game Freak to simply bite the bullet and just be like, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do a Pokemon MMO for real. But I just that's yeah, don't hold your breath sort of
As a,
situation.
yeah, no, absolutely. As like not the world's biggest Pokemon person, um, I'd be more interested when talking about games that aren't just the traditional main series games. I'd be more interested in seeing at this point Game Freak taking a backseat and allowing other people to make other games again. Like honestly, Pokemon Snap was a classic for so long, and when a new one came out, it was like all the rage. I would love to see new takes on Pokemon. Like again, Pal World is great for this. Not let's take away the guns and the violence for a second, even though I think violence is pretty, key to a Pokemon game.
Right.
Just saying. But
It's in their lore, just saying.
It's in the
but
gameplay.
let's just take that away for a moment. The idea of Pokemon outside of just this battling situation has been explored in Pokemon games, but always in a really cheap way. You had the beauty contests, and you've had. Am I wrong? Have they not? Have they only done beauty contests as like non-fighting Pokemon related stuff? Sure. Or they've had racing, like they referenced Rhydon racing, and like, stuff like this.
They have in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, there was a fuck, I forgot what it's called, but it's like kind of like a Olympics competition where you pretty much essentially
Sure.
race or do other activities against.
Yeah, the idea
Other-
of this is like these are
yeah.
all really neat ideas that are always done in such a shallow way. It'd be nice to see other games explore this in more profound ways. I'm not saying that I need a beauty pageant game, though I'm sure the people that make like Mirai Nikki, not Mirai Nikki, the
What,
new dress up
excuse
gotcha
me?
game. There's this new dress up gotcha game coming out. I'm sure they could make a fine dress up Pokemon game and everyone would love it. But like having other games, like again, Pal World, I think its biggest strength is you're foraging and building with your mons.
Yes.
I think having a Pokemon IP survival game would be a much more effective route than just suing them for IP, or not IP, patent issues.
Mhm.
Just make your own. I guarantee you would be incredibly successful. I would say do a fighting
There's,
game, but you tried
the
doing that once. I don't know if it was successful or not. I know it
Pokemon,
looked
yeah.
great. Pokken was a pretty game.
They have the Pokemon MOBA game that's still playing, Pokemon Unite.
Oh, I thought they
Play that.
closed that. Did they not? I must be
No,
confused.
no, I'm pretty sure it's still going. Pretty sure. I could be wrong. If it closed, it was very recent, and I just didn't see
I
it.
think a
I'm pretty
MOBA
sure I still
is
see people playing
fine
it.
because again, it's like all the core conceits of Pokemon. You send your Pokemon into a lane and they fight. It makes sense. They need to do more of these.
You got
The problem is, I want like this to be like a game. Like the issue I
Yeah.
have with like a MOBA and like Pokemon Go as another example is, they're peripheral games to me.
yeah.
Personally,
I mean, but
I am not
there
enforcing
was
this opinion on anyone. Um,
there was the Pokemon Ranger games, which that wasn't your typical game.
I
Oh,
think
those
an
were
idea
fucking
like that
good
would
games.
be really cool. Set someone out in like the frontiers of Pokemon as a ranger and have them like I don't know, map out an area. You can still have them collect Pokemon because they're going to need to know what Pokemon are endemic to the region and see how the
Yeah.
region changes, have them build up their little Poke Station and make frequent callbacks to the nearest city. I think that would be cool. I've done
Yeah,
the
they're
I've done Victory Road the Victory Road idea where we just go to every gym and then we go and battle. That's been played out. I think a new idea to supplement this core feature would be great.
Bro
Also,
just wants
Pokemon Snap was
Pokemon
just
sleep in
amazing.
real
The fact that
life.
it took them, the fact that Pokemon Snap took like 20 years to make a follow up on was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with that.
true.
That should have been
Yeah.
on fucking GameCube, the sequel.
Absolutely.
Because the GameCube was technically the console above N64, correct? For Nintendo.
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, Pokemon fucking Snap 2
'Cause-
should
yeah,
have been
'cause,
on GameCube.
Because N64 had the Stadium games
And
for fantastic
and Snap
games.
1.
I love Pokemon
Yeah.
Stadium. And then yeah, Snap 1. And then you got the GameCube, which had the Coliseum games. Incredible
Oh my
games.
god.
Probably my favorite Pokemon games to date.
A lot of people would agree
Uh,
with you.
I haven't played them, but
Love
I've
the
heard
Coliseum
nothing but
games.
just positive things about fucking.
Oh, dude, you need to play them.
I will,
Like,
but I want
you
to. I
are.
want to play them on streams or not fucking just by myself.
Then go do
Oh.
it. You've been streaming nothing but Deadlock for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that's not gonna change.
You emulate stuff. Go get your emulators. Play them. I'm imploring you to play them. I went with a friend. This was this might have been 10 years ago now. Maybe not quite that long. But me and a friend. I haven't talked to them in years now. But we both loved Pokemon, and that was one of the things we shared an interest in, and we loved these games. So we were like, oh, we're gonna sit down and play. It's a single player game, but we're like, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna play. We're gonna play Coliseum together. We were gonna play the second one, Gale of Darkness.
Oh yes.
And he like after the first session, he would not do it with me anymore because we were in our early 20s playing it, and I just kept coming up with these wisecrack jokes that now, mind you, we were both laughing. We were both having a laugh. Like I wasn't being not funny or obnoxious, but it was just like we couldn't get anything done, so we just didn't do it again because I was just making all of the dumbest jokes because like the main character, like something they said or the way they word something, like they don't like it doesn't call your mom above her name. It's like she had an actual name.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a typical name. So just forgive me if your name is Ashley. I'm just gonna use Ashley. It's the first female name that came to mind. It said Ashley above it, and so like in the section at the beginning of the game where you're talking to her, I'm like, yeah, Ashley. That's how we're gonna do this thing because we don't actually respect you because we call you Ashley. We don't call you mom. I was just making dumb jokes like this, and we were cracking up. So we never made it anywhere in that game. But it's just that is just another of so many amazing memories with that series, and it's just such a great game. It's actually an absolute blast.
For sure.
Sorry, I went on a wild tangent
Yeah,
there,
you
but that
did.
was just my core memory that came back when I said Pokemon Coliseum was aggravating the piss out of my friend making these dumb jokes. But they're amazing games, and Nat, now I'm putting a petition forward. You need to go stream these.
Whoa, chill.
I do think that you should definitely stream these. There's a reason why these are like classic Pokemon games.
Look, it's a plan, and I'm kind of busy in real life that I don't want to talk about on cast, but it's going to happen one day or another.
I swear to the heavens above, if I tune into your stream and you're streaming Kingdom Hearts for the umpteenth time and you haven't streamed Pokemon Coliseum yet, I'm banning you.
That's next year, bro.
Swear, man, I will ban you.
Yeah.
I will ban you from your own Twitch channel if you do this.
But yeah, expect more Deadlock tonight, especially since it's Friday, and my mate's off work for the weekend, so yeah.
Jeez.
Hey, I'm not sorry, I'm just saying.
Mm.
But just taking a quick gander, there's a couple other stuff called Pokemon Synapse. That's just code name placeholder. Don't know what that is, but apparently it's supposed to be a online multiplayer game, but it's not an MMO. The code name for Gen 10 is called Gaia, and its
Yep.
two respective games is Project K and N. I think that's I fucking lost it already. But yeah, so K and version K and version N. I mean Gaia's Earth. What else is fucking Gaia?
What could that even stand for? Like, I could not even begin to guess.
Well, I mean, let's take like 5 minutes to speculate, or 3 minutes.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because it's just wild speculation. There's no point in it. But it's just like I couldn't even
Hey
begin to guess what
man,
that.
this podcast is about us fucking yapping.
I know. I'm just like, but it's like the gens are always like. For the longest time, it was two colors next to each other, right? But like what but then when did they change that? Was it? I guess it was
like
with
Gen 2, technically. I mean, unless you count gold and silver.
silver and gold. That's colors.
Yeah, but like that's also a
those are
thing.
colors
While
too.
Gen 3 is Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, which is also colors, and Platinum, Pearl is also colors.
They're also gems, but they're also colors,
like,
right? And like that
So
was
it's
always
probably
kind of the
Diamond
thing.
and
Yeah, so I guess
Pearl.
technically Gen 6 with X and Y, but that's
X and Y, yeah.
but, yeah.
Because Diamond and Pearl are technically
colors. Yeah, so
technically.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to really sell me on what color diamond is.
clear.
That really rainbow reflective clear. Yeah.
You can't say rainbow and clear.
Yeah, you can.
It's that crystal clear that reflects rainbow.
Bro, it's not
not to be confused
Diamond's
with the
blue.
crystal. Yeah, it's not to be confused with the crystal, which is like the shiny blue color. So, and then because like pearl is that like opalescent white,
like opalescent light pink.
So so maybe it'd be better to say diamond is like an opalescent clear.
I just want everyone to understand that I do not back either of these.
All right, well, Dulles is wrong.
And but yeah, X and Y was the most like abstract like jump of comparisons, but even then it was still two like side by side things that sort of made sense. X and Y, like, you know, right there in the alphabet.
Yeah, but it's fucking dumb because they're like, yeah, let's make Yveltal just look like a Y Pokemon. Xerneas is supposed to be an X Pokemon, but he doesn't look like an X.
I'll be honest, I don't know how many people like these Pokemon. I think they both look really dumb.
I personally like Yveltal, but like I wouldn't put him into any of my like parties for like competitive play.
Xerneas is my favorite of the like 15 deer they've done recently.
Ugh.
But then they went from X and Y to Sword and Shield, or Sun and Moon, and then
Such
Sword and Shield.
Fucking
sorry, I know, right? And it's always been like two things, you know, that somewhat related. It was colors, then they kind of went from colors, and I guess you can say even if you want to stop right from 1 to 2, they went from colors to metals to gems to colors, and then X and Y, but then Sun and Moon, which is like, you know, the opposites, but like celestial bodies, I guess. And then
Sword and Shield,
and then they went back to colors with Scarlet and Violet,
and then Gaia with
so it's
K
just like
and N, so
I'm like, I don't know what two things that compare to each other like K and N could stand for, because I don't know if like that should be like the starting letter for them or whatever, or
no, what are you talking about? It's literally you're gonna have a K-shaped Pokemon and an N-shaped Pokemon.
I have been thinking this entire time, what are the chances Pokemon X and Y was called Project X and Project Y in dev?
And they were like, yeah, fuck it, this is good enough. Yeah, I can see it. Also, don't say that, Dollar, because you know that's actually going to be a thing, especially with the fucked up designs that Scarlet and Violet had for the inner area with the the primordial and futuristic fucking Pokemon.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I thought those designs were mostly fine. Mostly fine.
I don't know about Raikou or Suicune's neck, but sure.
Oh, I guess they were DLC ones, or they were ones that came after the fact. I only know what was there in vanilla.
Right,
So-
yeah. Look, the point is,
Did they get messed
they
up? Did
could
like,
try
really
and
just
make an
butcher later
actual just
designs?
and fucking
Go
Pokemon.
go look it up afterwards.
Roro.
Any I think we really covered everything that was there, haven't we? Was there anything else?
Only thing left to cover is the fact that Nintendo is in fact suing Palworld, in case everyone forgot. Bucket Pair and Nintendo are in a big old legal battle, and we still don't know the specifics of any part of it.
Yep.
It is still.
There's a good chance by the time this episode comes out, we may find something
Maybe.
out
It's
finally. But
entirely possible.
I'm expecting this will still be the case when this episode comes out.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's been confirmed that it's over the patents, but that seems to be like the go-to idea, and it does seem pretty logical. Nintendo had a couple of patents they made in 2021 and 2022 that went live as of this year, and given that Palworld, technically speaking, is not out yet. It is available for purchase in early access, not in 1.0.
Despite
These
having
patents
an
would apply
expansion.
to it. Look, man, I understand it has a whole X pack and everything. I'm just calling it like I see it.
Mhm.
The big issue here is that if Nintendo's willing to go after it, I don't see a world where Nintendo loses, not even just for the usual standpoint of they have more money than Pocket Pair, because they do. Palworld sold well. It didn't sell that well. But also because if it is over the patents, then technically I don't see a world where Nintendo is wrong in Japan.
Yeah.
And that's pretty key.
Because of the way the Japanese legal system works, it's kind of in Nintendo's favor.
Yeah, it seems that they are just being like copyright trolls. Or I guess patent trolls in this case, but they're going to get away with it because they are technically well within their rights, legally speaking. What is interesting, however, is that Palworld had an issue coming to PlayStation, specifically in Japan, and it seemed to have figured that out. So I don't know if that's telling towards the stage of whatever this legal dispute is, or if that's just they were going to do it anyway, this legal dispute be damned, which is very likely to be the cause.
Yeah, as it is currently, we have no information from either side. Palworld is, I think even Palworld has said we still haven't been informed,
which is
what we're being sued of.
Almost certainly a lie, but I understand that you don't want to say anything.
Yeah, exactly. They want to have the lip sealed. Both sides just don't want to say anything as of right now.
Yeah, Japanese companies, they don't want to talk about it. They're not going to talk about it. Regardless of anything, if I'm picking a side, I'm picking Palworld. Even though they're the ones that's eschewing to lose whatever comes of this, I still want to support them over Nintendo. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, 100%. By the way, because to the people who know me and are in Discords with me, I am saying all of this as I've just said it, and it makes me sound like I'm in Nintendo's corner. I'm not. Nintendo is, in fact, just bullying a company that got successful doing something very similar to them. That is what's happening here. I think that's kind of a super dick move, and I would like to see Nintendo lose. I just don't think it will.
Yeah, and for me personally, I really don't want Nintendo to win, because this sets a bad precedent to every other company to be like, oh, we gotta patent our fucking games. No one's allowed to steal it. Blah 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 blah. We
Well,
made it up.
actually, hold tight. No, this goes back way before Nintendo. Do you remember back when we had like multi-minute long loading screens? Do you know the real reason
Yeah,
why we could
Bloodborne.
never do anything in those loading screens?
Why is that?
The reason for that is because Bandai Namco had a patent that said they were the only ones who were allowed to put a game within a game for the loading screens. And if you did that, you had to license out Bandai Namco for that.
It's so dumb. But you kind of
And
get
even
what I'm
before
getting
this,
at.
bloody Shadow of Mordor series has that excellent Nemesis system.
Yeah,
Now, granted, I don't
that's
think the game is that great personally, but the
That's-
idea of the Nemesis system is fucking brilliant, and no one is
It
allowed to
is.
use that
So cool.
because
That's-
WB has a patent on it.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Like that's what I mean by like it sets a bad precedent for.
Well, no, the issue is the precedent has already been set.
Well, yes, but like I don't know. I don't think Nintendo's
The fact that companies can patent ideas or mechanics or things like that
It does
is
need to be
just-
changed.
It needs to be changed. It sucks. It prevents growth of games in a way too.
and
Like it prevents
100%.
and not only that,
It's just
people can have the exact same thought at the exact same time. Like it's not like this is not a rare case. People can have the
Well,
exact same
okay.
idea.
The problem with that in this instant is the CEO of Pocket Pair speaks too damn much. And we know for a fact he did not have this idea at the same time. He is on record as saying,
okay.
no, he took all of these ideas and he pushed them together because they were popular.
Right, but I okay, yeah. I was just saying in a general term, but for that instance, okay, yeah, fair.
it does the thing here. Another thing with Nintendo like bullying Pocket Pair is it does kind of have this idea that for any developer out there, if they wanted to make some kind of creature catching raising game, it puts a little bit of fear into any company that wants to do that because they're
God
like, well,
forbid
we
you
got to be
get
very
successful.
careful of how we do it. Yeah, how we do it, if we become successful, what we use, etc., and so
Mhm.
forth. Because if we are even so much like glancing in Pokemon's direction, Nintendo's going to come for us.
Yeah. And I think the successful is...
That's not a cool precedent.
I think the
That-
successful is important there because you have other creature collectors.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord knows,
Yeah,
Pokemon has been compared to Digimon forever, and that is different, but fundamentally, if you don't know better, that's the same.
And
We have Temtem, we have Cassette Beasts. There's
Shin
like
Megami
legitimate.
Tensei. That was even before Digimon and fucking Pokemon as well. That's Monster
Yeah,
Collection.
actually, that's fair enough. That is incredibly similar.
Yeah.
Like these exist. It just if you're too close and then you become successful, this might happen. I mean, frankly, they couldn't do anything with SMT because it's nothing alike. And Pokemon and Digimon actually aren't the same. It's just how much do you know about it? If you don't know a lot, yeah, they look very similar.
Hmm.
But Temtem and Cassette Beasts specifically, you catch monsters. I think one becomes a card and the other is, as the name implies, they are cassettes. But Pal World has the issue of it flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, using
Yeah.
capture devices that are sphere shaped and you throw them.
And again, it may not even be that that's what the issue is. That is one of the popular talking points is the Pokeball and the riding system. But as of yet, we're not sure what patents they've overlapped on to a point that Nintendo finally said, gotcha.
Right.
I just want to say, however, in what way is it possible to put a patent on a writing system? That's the one that really I can see how they can put a patent on the catching sphere thing, but a writing system?
I
That
don't know.
It blows my mind.
It's why I'm fairly sure that that's probably not a case, but they do have a patent for it. We've seen it, so I don't know. Maybe I couldn't tell you.
That blows my mind.
I mean, does that mean that
Like-
every time Link mounts up on Epona, we're gonna have issues, or what's going on here? But I guess that's a Nintendo product.
No, because
so-
that's a
Oh,
Nintendo product.
See,
so no.
you say that, Dal, I was gonna make the exact same joke with Midna and fucking Wolf Link, but I was like, wait, no, that's also Nintendo shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like how like anytime a game you mount a fantasy creature to ride it, is that infringing on that patent? Because man,
Yeah,
let
man,
me tell
fucking-
you, there are quite a few games out there that
Yeah,
do
Nintendo's
that.
gonna go after Final Fantasy 14.
So I've not actually looked at this particular patent. My assumption is it's not just riding. It's probably going from not riding to riding by way, with the intermediary is the Pokeball, where you have the whole like coming out of the Pokeball moment and then you mount up. If I had to guess, it has to be something super specific like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise
It's got to be.
it runs into this issue that we're having where we're like, that's vague on a level that cannot be tolerated.
Yeah, that's
What?
fucking Halo Reach.
Goodness gracious.
What? I just said they were reaching.
Yeah, you sure did.
Halo Reach is a good game.
Anything else? Anything
Yeah, so
else?
real quick, back to speculation. Gaia is a Greek word, correct?
Yes.
I should assume so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. So the speculation is that Gen 10 is going to be, I don't want to say set in Greece, but like the
Greco themed.
yeah, like you know how Unova
So we're
was
doing
like
islands again?
I mean, no, that's a valid assumption. Speculation, I think, because we've done Paris, we've done New York, we've done several different parts of Japan. So yeah, I mean,
so this is gonna
possibly. I mean,
I'll be
there's been
down.
rumor mills. There's been rumor mills that
And yes, there will
They
be
wanna
islands,
do-
possibly, most likely, if that is the case.
there's been rumor mills that they want to do some other like Southeast Asian like country themes.
You're
but
definitely
that-
doing islands then.
that like breaches like some other potentially like
Look,
troublesome issues or whatever, so they haven't.
all I'm saying
but-
is, where's Pokemon Australia? Like,
Yeah,
like
I
genuinely, unironically.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, that-
well, thank God they don't have HMs no more, because fucking where the fuck are you gonna surf? There's nothing out there except for New Zealand, but that's off to the east, and there's nothing to. Well, actually, there's
Then maybe they
something north.
combine New Zealand and Australia into
That
one.
would
Let's
be
be
actually
real, they
kinda cool.
absolutely will. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just half the games is on Australia, the other half's in New
Yeah,
Zealand.
I mean, let's be real here. There's there's the exact same amount of livable space on both of these areas. There is nothing on inland Australia happening other than death and terror.
yeah,
Inland Australia is the safari zone.
yeah, quite literally.
That's not a safari zone. That's a goddamn
It-
frying pan.
It's a yeah, yeah. So
The safari is a desert in this game.
That said, again, I think that'd be kind of cool. Like, really expand out the safari zone idea. I'd be about that.
yeah, and that's where we get.
I just want to say, if they go back to Gen 2, the safari competitions, where you actually like competed with NPCs to
Yeah.
see who could catch
Yeah,
the
yeah.
rarest Pokemon.
Yeah, the bug
Those were
catching
cool.
competition. Yeah,
Yeah, those were cool. I like bring that back.
yeah. In Australia, Pokemon fucking we finally get Mega Arbok, Mega Ariados.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Fucking,
Yeah.
What else? What else? What else? What else?
Most used typing.
Oh, Mega
Mega
Sharpedo.
Gavantula. Mega Gavantula.
Yeah, Mega Gavantula. Yeah.
I guess you probably wouldn't get a mega, but you'd get a version of Tentacool that was just so poisonous.
Yeah, fucking Australian variant of fucking Tentacool and Tentacruel again.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
honestly,
That's right. They were like the running mushroom. I forgot about that. They already have one. Oh
Mhm.
man.
give them another
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
because
No.
think
I
they've
need
done
I need
more
an
than what they're
Irokanji.
capable.
I need it. I need a box jelly.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Also, I
Yeah.
need a good old Steve-O rep for the game.
Oh,
That's the professor.
Or
That's the
Professor has
professor.
to
You're
be
not allowed.
Steve-O
For,
when
yeah,
absolutely.
if it's not Erwin, then you give it to the kids. You give it to Bindi and what's his name? What's the son? He's such a good photographer.
I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
But yeah, you make it those two. Make them because you're. Let's be real. They're gonna sell 2 bloody games. You make each kid like the one of the professors.
You know what would be really fucking cool? If Steve Owen is the professor, but the plot twist is he's actually the fucking Regions champion.
Let's go.
I'd be so
Look,
fucking down for
I'm
that.
about it. I'm about it.
That's yo, Game Freak. We are literally writing the game for you.
I cannot imagine we're the first people with this idea.
I don't care if we're the first. Just this has been. Your community has made 100
true,
games
though.
for you at this
That's
point.
Unironically,
And
yeah.
a lot of them are
Nintendo, get your head out of your ass. Seriously.
Yeah. I'd be down.
Anyway, I think I'm about at the edge of my Poke knowledge. So
Yeah.
I can keep on
I'm at the
fucking
end of my
speaking,
Pokemon.
but that's just general Pokemon stuff. But so not the leaks and all that.
Yeah. I think that's enough Pokemon for one season of Celestia Radio podcast.
Yep.
Thanks. We don't have to do this again until they officially announce Gen 10.
Yeah,
I
until the
guess.
next one
I'd be
comes out.
okay with that. I think I'd be okay with that. And maybe when we do, let's bring a friend on that plays Pokemon a bit more.
yeah, that's probably for the
regularly
best.
than us.
That
But
way,
yeah,
Matt
alright,
can actually
well-
speak to someone.
Yeah, me and you aren't just sitting here. All right. Well, listeners, I hope this is a good dose of Pokemon for you because I wouldn't expect it anytime soon here. I say that, and we're gonna get some kind of wild Pokemon news, and then
Oh,
it's
you
like,
just
Oh,
know it.
don't say that.
yeah.
Don't say that.
But as always, we appreciate you all listening each and every second that y'all listen to. Share it with your friends. That is the best way to support us. Is just spread word. Let other people know that we're here. If you had your own thoughts or questions, you can leave them in the comment section down below on Spotify, YouTube, or you can tweet them at us at Twitter at Celestia Radio PD. And then we have the hashtag AskCRP. If you have your own topic, idea, or questions, and you want to shoot them at us, we keep an eye there for those. Even though I dropped the ball on updating Twitter with new episodes, I do still keep an eye on it. So do know that our eyes are there. And as always, you're appreciated. We thank you. Go out there and enjoy some video games because I can almost promise you that's what we're going to go do now.
Yep.
Oh, food, and then yeah, you're correct.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Be good now.
Laters.